All right, so welcome back to the channel. My name's Kevin.
I'm Tarsha.
This is Conversations with the Crawleys. We're back. There's another new show.
We're back.
Another new show we're going to talk about. And it's the never, ever have we ever met, whatever. It's the never, ever mets, right? So.
Say that 10 times
say that 15
really fast.
times, right? So this is content that you enjoy, or if you're checking it out and like, I don't know if I even want to check out this show myself.
So I'll just listen to the recaps.
And see our take on it. You know what to do by now. Hit that subscribe, hit the like, request notifications.
And share and share and share.
And we will see you in the comments considering becoming a member and checking out the merch store. Now, something that we are going to be start doing.
Just like never ever met.
Yeah. Listen, my grammar is bad right now. But one thing we are going to start doing is something we're calling the scent of the show.
Okay.
So I've kind of gotten into fragrance collecting, but I don't always have the budget to get the stuff that I really want because I'm a Sauvage kind of person, right? Mm-hmm. But I ain't got $250 for a little 2-ounce bottle of elixir. But I've gotten into some clone colognes as well as just some good stuff that doesn't cost an arm and leg. Mm-hmm. So today's scent is John Varvatos Artisan Blue. I'll put the graphic up there.
Nice.
What do you think about it? Because it's not just good that I smell and like it.
Okay, so what you're gonna have to do is bring the bottle. You don't have to show the title, but I gotta re-smell it because you've already like given me. Okay. Yeah, I like it. Because I'm like, he showed me like 20 bottles.
I'll do that next time, yes.
Because I'm like, don't show you know what I'm saying? Like, or tell me you're putting it on so I can know. I'm just trying to give an honest review.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. One of the things about this channel, if you haven't guessed by now, is that we are husband and wife. We often address things from the male and the perspectives. Male and female perspectives. Listen, it's
going to be okay. I was married, y'all.
Yes.
I was married.
And so we were thinking, other than just doing recaps, what else can we talk to you guys about that you all might find value in? So if that's something you find value in, let us know in the comments. If there's a clone or a perfume even, because we do both, that you want us to review. And if we've got it or have access to it, we can do that as well.
Tell us what you love to smell your man in.
Yeah, because I'm starting to get into the notes of it and all that stuff. But anyway, all right, that's enough on that right now. But listen, that's a new part of what we're doing here. But we watched this new show, The Never Ever Mets, right? So this is a recap review of the first 2 episodes because we were kind of busy the first week. And then this last week we were out of town, but we finally came back in town and we watched it. So
we was like, let's check it out. Let's see. Should they have? And we want to know, do you think so far, should it have a second season?
Yeah. Yeah. Is this going to be the next, I don't know, Ready to Love, Married at First Sight? Is this going to be the next thing that maybe they do? I think there's some good things from it that we can take away from a relationship coaching type perspective.
Well, and also this is kind of where we are now, where social media gives you a plethora. Is that right?
Plethora, yes.
Plethora. You don't talk, I don't talk. And of different people you have an opportunity to meet and date because of social media.
Yeah, because, I mean, if we're honest, back in the day, it was like, it was a long-distance relationship. If I was on the south side of Chicago and she was on the west side, that's a long-distance relationship, right?
Right. And sometimes if you were in college and you're away and then people had to move away.
But y'all met then.
But you've met in person.
Right.
You got numbers because you met in person.
This is the equivalent of, I went to the family reunion. I met my cousin who lives 5 states over. They were like, oh, I got a friend. Here's her number and here's her picture.
Call her.
And I call her and we have a relationship that we've never seen each other.
Wow.
That would be the...
Right.
Yeah.
So, or pen pals. They used to call it pen pals back in the day.
So. All right. So anyway, we'll kind of just go through the couples because there starts off with 7 of them.
Right. Well, for those who are watching the recap first, trying to decide if they're going to watch the show, the premise of the show...
Yes.
These people met on some type of online...
social media, basically.
Right. Facebook.
Snapchat.
They DM, and then from there, they got numbers. Now they're FaceTiming.
Yes.
And they've been in a relationship as long as 6 months. And
no, 12 years.
What? No. starting with, excuse me,
From
starting with
3 months all the way up
yes,
to 12
up
years.
to 12 years. We'll get into that. So, yeah. So that's the premise of the show. And what they're deciding to do is to pay for these people to come together and to live with each other for 3 weeks.
Yes.
To determine should they stop dating each other long distance.
Right. So it is hosted by Tarsha Jones. And I looked her up because, I'm always like, okay, who are they getting to host this? What is their background? What can they bring to the table? So Tarsha Jones is an actress / rapper. Most notably, the reason I kind of recognized her, I was like, she looks familiar. She was the assistant for Taraji P. Henson Cookies, or the role of Cookie on Empire. So she was the assistant. I forgot what the assistant's name was, but she was the assistant to Cookie, or Taraji P. Henson, in
She was
the
the
Empire
actress
show.
that played the assistant
Right.
for Cookie.
So she got a job now doing this. Cool. All right. So let's actually start with even how they were introduced. So we'll start with the couple that I'm still trying to figure out how they were together and have never met for 12 years. This is Shay and Josh, and they met on Facebook. I think they may have been the first 2 people on Facebook, because it's been 12 years.
And that's when Facebook started, right?
A little before that, of course, but they was like, yeah. So she's 30, he's 32.
And he's from Tennessee.
I forgot where she's from.
Florida. She's from Florida.
Yeah, it seems like Florida got a lot of things going on.
They do.
Yeah.
They got a lot going on.
Yeah.
But
If you're from Florida, we're just gonna say my wife is not planning to come visit anything in Florida anytime soon. Just
No,
y'all
because
got
they don't like black people. Florida governor does not like black people. I said it. And there's a lot of black people.
She having
in
her
Florida.
Kanye West moment. George Bush does not like black people.
Florida does not like black people. Stay strong, your black people in Florida. Because he got all the dirty cops there.
Yeah.
He don't got no laws for y'all.
All right. Anyway, before we before we alienate all of our Floridians.
No, I'm trying. I'm in support.
I know.
Sincerity. I just can't come and rescue you.
So they've been together for 12 years. Virtually, right? She wants to be married and have a baby. I don't think he necessarily is.
No, he said with her, because he's in love with her, he does want to have a child.
Yes.
He has a 13-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Right, that's right.
And he does indicate that's some of the reason why. And then he indicates something about
He has some childhood trauma. Right.
So probably because of living in Florida. But we don't know.
Well, he's in Tennessee.
No, he's in Tennessee. That's right.
Yeah.
But he don't want to go to Florida because of the childhood trauma he had.
Now we were saying, and this was joking. So before somebody takes this and run with this, is that if they've been together virtually for 12 years, somebody had to have been locked up at some point, because there's no way.
That's a long time.
There's no way.
And
12 years.
And you see her telling the other ladies, because everybody's coming in one-on-one. So, right, you want to try to, how long you been together? Yeah. And she goes, 12. Yeah, it's been 12 years. And everyone's like, 12 years? Y'all been together 12 years? So, we'll talk about some,
because here's the thing. So, you mentioned he's got a 13-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Yeah, I thought, are we just putting this first episodes together?
This is first and second episode of each couple, because we're catching everybody up.
Okay, we're catching everyone. So yeah, by the time we get to the second episode and we're trying to add up how long they've been together and how old his children are. Now there could be a couple of situations, right?
It could be.
But
the math ain't mathing.
The math ain't mathing.
If they together and consider themselves
exclusive,
committed and exclusive, right?
Right.
So, because 13, okay, they've been together for 12, so whoever the mother was of the 13-year-old.
Before they got started.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
But this 3-year-old.
Did y'all take a break? Which I would, like after 10 years, like, dude, where we going? You ain't showing up. And then he'd be like, oh yeah, we getting back together. By the way, I got a baby on the way.
So the way that they do it, because it's like, how do they show up? So first episode, the ladies all show up at the house together. And essentially, long story short, the guy set up the first date, and that's where they actually meet face to face.
Which I think is a good idea.
Yes.
So far as what they're trying to produce, I like the setup. She comes to the house, gets comfortable, right? Women like to want to get comfortable, get familiar with their surroundings.
Right.
And then the men wants to make the first impression, which a date can always make a first impression.
Yes.
Since we've only been FaceTiming and different things, I think is a very good intro for the guys meeting the significant other.
So when they meet, because he sets up a date at Santa Monica Pier, right?
Yes, he does. Yes. Good first date.
So they kiss, like they tongue each other down like.
It's been 12 years. My God, I'm assuming something.
It's not like he's not been getting anything for 12 years.
Hey, I'm just saying, when he met her, you want to make sure.
So she does say that they feel the chemistry. She feels the chemistry in person. He obviously is feeling the chemistry in person.
And we do have to say, she wanted to make sure that he get caught up on how she was looking for those 12 years.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Because her outfit was.
It was like a long sweater.
It was
a sweater.
It was like a paper towel draped over the front and back of her.
See, Lisa, I was saying, if you notice the difference in perspective, I'm keeping it like.
It would basically
I said it was a sweater vest.
If the wind blew too.
And it was long.
If the wind.
But it was a vest.
If all of a sudden there was you gonna see all of her goodness. So.
Oh gosh, she did have a jean jacket just to
kind of help as a barrier protection, right? So it didn't melt in the rain. So they when they get back to the house after their date, they're like, we need to go take a shower. Let's take a shower together.
I'm just saying, if I was in the house, I'm like, okay, there's some boundaries of places where I don't want to see any couples coupling. Not in a place where I sleep or my bed.
Now, we do find out in the second episode there is the intimacy room, right?
Which I appreciate.
I appreciate that. That should have been like day one.
Right, for those who've been
when you checking in, listen.
This is where y'all go. There got to be a bathroom in that area.
Listen,
right.
Schedule your time.
Right.
It is sanitized, deeply sanitized.
And afterwards, deeply sanitized.
Yes.
But common areas, bathroom to me is a common area.
Yes.
My bedroom.
Unless they were put together in the same room and they had a private bathroom.
Right. That's different.
Right.
But if that's the common that's off limits. So
keep your stuff in your pants. So then the second episode, there's really not a whole lot from them in the second episode, but they do have the Kama Sutra kind of experience.
Talking about the group now.
Yes, in the group.
Okay.
And they had the thing was in this Kama Sutra, they had two choices as far as the positions to mimic, designed to help them kind of discover intimacy.
You want to tell them just in case they don't know what?
Our audience knows what Kama Sutra is.
Okay.
If you don't, Google it.
So, and I get what they were doing. They were trying to see if they were going to pick a position where they would be facing each other that majority of time creates intimacy.
Right.
So, and some did and some didn't. And for them, they did.
Well, first of all, they were like, oh, we did that already?
Right.
We did that one too? Got anything else for us to try over there? No?
Right.
Okay, we'll do this one. All right, cool. So if we're looking at the timeline of when we're expecting this, they met, went to Santa Monica, came home, showered, and they were busy that night because we didn't see them get into, and we'll talk about the argument. They weren't really part of the arguments. They was busy Kama Sutraing themselves.
Yeah. Well, he did hold them back, so they
That's true. Yes.
So
he took a little break,
right? So they were done because they seemed to be back in the house early compared to some of the other couples' dates.
Yeah.
So they were on back in time, 6 o'clock. Then I had dinner again, and then it was 2:30 in the morning.
Yes.
So yeah.
All right. Next couple we'll talk about is Joanna and Aaron. So Joanna is from Chicago. Aaron, I forget where Aaron's from. But they've been together 9 months on social media.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, he says that the reason that they didn't meet, he was on his way to meet her, but he booked a flight to meet her but lost his ID. Okay.
It's a wrong time to lose ID.
Yeah.
And you never rebooked like in 9 months?
Right.
Because I'm assuming you got credit depending on how he booked that ticket.
And depending upon your state, sometimes you can go and get a
same day,
right? I know here, at least here in Arizona, you can get a temporary ID that you can go and get pretty quickly.
But I've never lost the ID to figure out.
Well, you have lost your ID or misplaced it one time, but you had your passport still as a backup.
Right, but I'm saying I've never been in a state where I don't know what the other states would do.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
So he says the challenge is that she doesn't want anyone close to her heart. So when they meet, now again, they've only been 9 months, so not an extensive period of time.
That's pretty typical. That's about average.
Yes.
So
when they meet, she says he was doing this romance novel, like rom-com type of walk-up pose and everything.
Got his head up high, got the chest out. And she like, bro, man, if you don't just come over here and give me a hug or something. She wasn't feeling like, I don't need all that.
Right.
Like, come on.
So then he's at least we at least get the idea that he's paying attention at the beginning, right? Yeah. Because he's like, oh, she's a dancer. He's like, I took a salsa class. Do you know how to salsa? She's like,
oh,
yeah.
Come on. And then he's messing up. He's not twirling her at the right time. And she's like, no, you're supposed to have done it this way, da 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 da. And then you go, yeah, that salsa class when I was 8 years old. Okay, so you're clowning.
Right. So then they go over to, he's got a charcuterie board out there. Mm-hmm. He's got some wine, some cheese, like, okay. But he don't drink.
And she knows he don't drink.
Right.
And she's thinking in the back of her head, well, why are you picking wine?
If you don't drink. So he picks up the bottle and he goes to screw it off. And he's like, oh.
This ain't no cheap stuff.
This ain't that tight. Yeah, this ain't. So he's looking over. It's like, I see the corkscrew.
And she's looking like, do you know what you're supposed to use that?
He's like, no, I don't know. She's like, come, give it here, boy.
So in her head, she's like, why is he's doing too much.
She said it doesn't feel natural.
It doesn't feel natural.
It feels forced.
She said, we have things that I know we have in common. Mm-hmm. Why wasn't he trying those things?
Yes.
And I think a lot of times when you're trying to meet someone, you're trying to impress them, but you end up not impressing them when you do things out of
your character, out of your wheelhouse.
Yes.
And you're putting on for show. So, right, it's forced.
Right. And it can be a turn off for someone.
Yes.
The best thing is to be yourself, especially if those things you've talked about and they reciprocated the things you are in common with, then do that.
Yep.
Yep.
So she gives the date a 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10.
6 out of 10.
Yeah. It could have been worse. She could have gave him a 3.
But yeah. Okay. So next day, nothing really major for them the first episode. Mm-hmm. The second episode, and we'll talk about kind of the controversy that happened between the first and second episode. But while folks are outside discussing it, she's like, I'm going to just stay inside. And he's out in the pool, and it's almost like she's purposely like, no, I'm going to stay inside. I ain't going out there messing with him.
Mm-hmm. I mean, she seems still put off, but I just don't think there's a connection now that they've met in person.
Yes. In fact, during the Kama Sutra, everybody's like, well, a couple of people comment like they have the least sexual energy and compatibility of everybody here.
Yeah, because typically when a couple's together, you can see their chemistry between the two of them, and you don't have to be over touchy-feely.
Correct.
You just know, oh, they're together. There's a chemistry between them.
There's a way that you can that you respond. We saw from some of the other couples. There's a way that you interact where it's like even if you're not physically intimate, you can tell, okay, there's at least a connection or a desire at some point to move that way, right? even the others, we'll talk about the other couple where she is kind of very conservative. Even there, it was like you could at least see that there is a connection there. With this couple, with these two, Joanna and Aaron. That's the other thing. Was Joanna the one that brought out the hot Cheetos and pickles?
Yes, because she's from Chicago, right?
Yes.
And she's like, oh, that's a Chicago thing. I've never seen pickles and hot Cheetos put in a bowl and eaten with a fork.
That's because I never took you on the West Side.
Don't go there. We love our West Side, Chicago.
We appreciate y'all West Side people from Chicago.
So, but I've never seen Cheetos eaten with a fork, let alone with pickles in them. But to each his own.
Yep. I'm gonna stick with the other stuff in Chicago. If y'all want to shoot us some Garrett's popcorn, we'll more than happily take that.
Reminds me, don't we got to pick up popcorn?
We got some popcorn coming right now. Yep. And if you're from Chicago, you know what we're talking about. All right, so that was pretty much it for them between the first and second episode.
Yeah.
We'll come back to them. Let's talk Sandia and Chris.
Chris.
Now,
yes.
Sandia's 27, Chris is 34. They are both from Florida. I think they were both from Miami. But I know they're definitely both from Florida.
Okay.
They met 3 months ago on social media, so not overly long period of time.
No. I think that's a good time.
Yes.
I think within 90 days, you need to see this person. I think they FaceTime and everything.
They've been sexting as well, too.
Yes.
He's like, yeah, we've been sexting.
So they have the chemistry, the energy's there. And so only thing she says, you're a little shorter than I thought. Because again,
you see his photos and
right? I can make myself look taller or shorter by how I'm angling the photo when I'm taking a picture.
Because just to kind of give an example, if you know the comedian Kev on Stage, I always thought Kev on Stage was kind of short. That's just the way I kind of just when seeing his videos and stuff like that, I thought he was short. He's not. He's probably about 6'1" or so. 6'1". He's not a short guy.
Kev on Stage?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Who do you think? Not Kevin Hart.
Okay.
Kevin Hart is 3 feet tall.
I was like,
Kev on Stage.
Okay.
Yes.
It just, when you said Kev,
gotcha.
I didn't hear the stage. I was like,
no.
What?
Everybody knows Kevin Hart is short.
Okay.
Well, Kev on Stage is probably about 6 feet, 6'1".
Okay.
Somewhere in that range.
Yeah, because we saw him live before.
So yeah, sometimes just the way that things are presented or just the angles and things of that nature, it could distort how you view a person.
Correct.
So that's what she said, right? So he sets up an outdoor lunch date. And then he's winning cool points because he recognizes, or she's mentioned that she's wanted to ride in a helicopter. So he's talking to her. She sees out the corner of her eye the MASH helicopter coming over to her.
Okay. I think everybody remembers MASH. Hopefully. Again, Google it because we are your age.
Okay. Or Airwolf. No, that's still dating us.
Just stop.
Blue Thunder. Nope, that's it too.
The helicopter.
So helicopter, yes.
Police chopper. They still use those.
SWAT. No? Okay. Yeah. All right, but y'all get the idea.
Oh my God. You're like, I was listening. The thing you keep telling me, I'm gonna let the TV producers in the show pay for it, but
exactly.
But think it's me.
Exactly, because he ain't pay for that.
Think it's me.
He ain't pay for that.
I gave him the idea.
So they have a good date, right? They get back to the house. Later that night,
he's with the fellas.
He got his fellas. He got the do-rag on.
Got the do-rag on. He got his tee on. He got his white tee on. Sitting with the fellas. What they doing? Dominoes? I think they were doing like dominoes. And that's when he gonna show his abrupt.
He's like, listen, I'll be there a good 3-4 days out the week. And then 3 days out the week, I'm disappearing. She ain't gonna find me. None of the ladies find me. He's like, I can find a good woman. I get women whenever I want to. It's easy to get a woman here.
And she's up there eavesdropping.
Yeah.
So, and she's like, got a blanket on, like. And
he's like, I'm not in a relationship, all this stuff, right?
Right. We're not committed. That's not my girlfriend. I'm like, all right, calm down, bro. Like.
So, of course, at that point, it's like, ooh, bro, you probably opened your mouth a little too wide. But then the next day they have a conversation. So in episode 2, they have a conversation, right? And she interpreted that conversation from what I guess she could hear over the microwave beeping in the stove or whatever. What she and her interpreted.
He's exaggerating.
That
was not going on.
Right. But I'm sure there was a smoke detector going off every now and then in that house because that's how it works sometimes. But the way she interpreted it was that he was saying that he was be flirting with the other ladies in the house. First of all, that don't make sense because why would I tell all these other guys who are here trying to woo the lady that they've been FaceTiming for the last 13 years? Why would I tell them that I'm coming after your girl? That don't make sense. Right?
So, and he's like, what? I'm not attracted to any of these women in here anyway.
Right.
And she's like, well, but I want to say this. He states, first of all, we're not exclusive. She's like, yeah. Second of all, I don't trust women. She's like, yeah, but I just feel like I don't want to look stupid. And I feel like maybe I'm being disrespected. Okay, let's talk about this. If me and you are dating and you're saying right now, I don't want to be exclusive. I'm still dating other women while I'm talking to you. We're only 3 months in. It's only been 90 days.
Right.
Okay. Also, I have gotten the opportunity to share with you. I still can't trust women because of some past experience. I share that with you. So don't feel disrespected because the energy I bring with the fellas, I'm telling this is how my lifestyle is 90 days prior to you. We're just starting to get to know each other.
Yes.
So you're not my girlfriend.
Right.
I am seeing other people and I'm having a sex life without you. So if you feel dumb, right, I'm keeping it simple, then wouldn't that be more on you deciding that?
Yeah.
But I don't think any of the men are seeing, I think she's looking from a perspective of a woman, which again, if he's told you all these things, you've accepted it. I'm not going to look at you that way, but men are not looking at her that way.
No, I don't think they're looking at her that way. I think that he does say, because she says something about, oh, so we're just strangers. He's like, I'm here so I can learn to trust you and get to know you, right? And so it is balance. Yes, you've been FaceTiming him for 3 months and you sense that there's a connection. He feels that there's a connection. Now, you all have not made it so that you are completely exclusive.
Right, it's been 90 days.
You're the never ever mets, right? You're not the married but married at first, sight people that have never seen each other before, right?
Correct.
So it's like, okay, for some of these other couples, that might have been the move or the way to go because of the length of time. This is just for us because if we're honest, in most times, most situations, if we're dating, it may not be until 3 months in that it's like, okay, I want to maybe take this to another level and be exclusive.
Yeah.
It may be, for the first 3 months, I am still dating other people because I'm still trying to figure out what I want. And if you're the person that I want to be with long term, right?
Right, especially
or
if
at
you
least
got trust issues.
move forward with, right?
Right, especially if you got trust issues.
So he does reaffirm that he wants to get to know her and that he's there to get to know her better. For the Kama Sutra exercise, he wanted to go first. He's like, yeah, let's do that. Let's get some practice in. And
then when he looks at it, he's like, oh, what's this?
he's like, what's that?
Oh, my goodness.
Wait.
I'm like, hold on.
Insert A into B.
I'm like, okay, now first you come off like you getting it like that, right? Even though he didn't say that, but you're portraying that, you getting it like that. And then when you see pictures where I'm like, okay, those are common positions. There was nothing really strange about what we saw.
No.
And I'm like, you looking surprised like you're gonna try that the next time?
None of it looks strange unless you're 13 years old. And even then, in this day and age, I don't know, because some of these kids.
So. Yeah.
All right. So.
Even though you're not saying he's 13.
I'm not saying he's 13. Correct. Yes.
Yeah. Just in case. It's just how it flowed into.
Don't come for me. Don't do that.
It's just, but I'm just indicating, it seemed like it was a shock what he saw.
Right.
His responses was like,
what is that?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
that's interesting. I was like, okay.
All right. Next, we'll talk about Diamond and Aaron.
Yes.
Now, there's a lot of these couples, y'all. There's 7 of them. So, yeah, hopefully you put it on that 2x speed or that 1.5 speed so you can make it all the way through. Help us.
But I think they did well so far to try to keep it moving.
I will say this. The flow of this is better so far than Ready to Love, in my opinion, because Ready to Love, the pacing sometimes is off. And some of the other shows that we've watched, like Married at First Sight, dragged forever. So that's why we didn't finish up this past season. Let's talk about Diamond and Aaron. They are probably the oldest of the group.
Yeah.
Diamond is 44, and that's Diamond with a Y. And Aaron, who's 51. They've been together for 5 years. They broke up for a portion and got back together, right?
Correct.
And they are both PKs, or pastor's kids. Now, he says he lost hope of seeing her and made a wrong turn 2 years ago.
And decided to propose to somebody.
Yes.
That's a big wrong. That's the biggest U-turn.
Like, went on social media, was like, here's the ring, y'all.
Like, what?
So, now, he does say that he likes BBWs, big, beautiful women. He's like, he's not into any of these thin ladies in here. He's like, she's exactly what he wants. And so he does tell her that she is everything that he always wanted. And she's like, okay, hold up, player.
Before we even get started with this
let's
story.
get some closure on this then.
And okay, so it's been 2 years ago. And she said she had to put eyes on him. Now, you're FaceTiming. You see his eyes, but I guess if she needed to swing on him,
right?
She wanted to be in person, whatever came out of his mouth. Because I'm like, you didn't even know the show was going to be created.
Right.
Okay, let's look at it from that perspective.
True.
You didn't know this show was going to be created. And you decided to hold this until you're going to physically see this person.
Right.
I would think you would roll up on him when he put the ring out there, right? That's just me. You dated 3 years. Sense. I'm going to show up when I see a photo of a ring. Right. But that's me, right?
I don't know if it
was a storyline that they told them they needed to add.
Possible. But that right there is the underlying thing for me that makes this like, what? Is that, I can understand we've 3 months. I could even go for the 6 months, 9 months, 10 months. But when you start getting into years with an S.
Saying you still need to get closure?
Or you still need to see the person in person? I'm sorry.
If you say we add up how much a ticket is,
listen,
put it on Afterpay. Look, there's so many ways you could be paying that ticket.
We talking a round trip ticket. Cool, I get it, right?
And depending where you are,
depending upon where you are, but none of these people sound like they're up in none of these people are in Montana or any place where there's a half airport, right, in the entire state.
And some of them they're at least on the East Coast together.
All right, some of them, as we'll talk about, they're in the same city.
They just got to cross over the mountain.
You just got to take a road trip. So I don't understand. But anyway, he does share, just because one of the situations that happens with one of the other couples, he does share how he was abused in an abusive relationship with the woman that would hit him.
And I appreciate it because this is something that we've talked about in our other shows, is that men do get abused.
Yes.
Because the man was taught never to hit a woman, and they stay in relationships where they are, I don't want to say allow, but they get in where they lost their boundaries, and a woman is actually physically hitting them.
Yeah.
So I'm glad he was able to share that.
Yes.
And he was just saying that I didn't want to be in that type of relationship, right?
Exactly.
So, but he did apologize. She seemed to accept his
apology.
She held it for 2 years. So
yes, not as far as the abuse, because that's
no, that was someone else.
She does his apology as far as him with the ring with the other woman.
Correct.
Yes.
He apologizes to her.
Yes.
And she seems to forgive him, and that they're on the right track.
Yes.
As long as he don't give her that ring for a proposal.
That ring better have been back at the jeweler. So,
Okay.
During the Kama Sutra section, nothing major from them, but he did make a statement. I was like, okay, y'all trying to. He said the good thing about them is they both don't have a problem being watched. He said he would just see her. He's open to where he would just see her and drop to his feet and suck on her toes.
Are you trying to say,
bro? We don't need to see that.
Well, somebody will see it for a fee.
Listen, if y'all do the OnlyFans thing,
that's up to them.
At least monetize it.
It's like if you don't mind them watching, at least get paid.
At least monetize it. Shoot.
Make it a business.
All right.
Do it, and of course it's gonna be the PK kids, right?
Right, because y'all know PK kids.
Oh gosh.
All right.
That's a typical stereotype.
That's a stereotype.
Right.
That is often true. All right.
Wow.
No, I'm joking.
Wow.
I'm joking because she's a PK.
Right. They both are.
No, I'm talking about you.
Oh, you talking about me? Okay.
All right. So anyway, Millie and Greg. Let's talk about them.
Okay.
And then we'll move to our two problem couples.
Right.
Millie and Greg. Now she's 32. He's 31. Mm-hmm. They have been together or never ever met for 3 years.
Mm-hmm. That's a pretty long time.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
But they both live in LA.
And that's the thing I didn't get. And he did try to meet her. Something happened. Didn't something?
He said.
Oh, he didn't have the confidence.
He said his insecurity may have kept them from meeting.
And I don't see anything physically wrong with him to be insecure. I didn't see anything that'd be like, oh, I can see that you're real short, or you know,
or you gotta go
cross-eyed,
right?
Or you got one leg, like, I mean,
or you got 3 teeth,
right?
On one side of your mouth.
You only got 3 teeth,
right?
So I was like, well, okay. Again, we all have our things. That's him. We all have our things that keep us moving forward in life. So,
but across the city, it's not even we're not even talking Southern California up to Northern California.
Nah, it sounds like maybe they 45 minutes apart.
Well,
if that much.
In LA traffic, 10 minutes away is 45 minutes. 10 miles away is 45 minutes away, right?
So they're 2 hours apart.
So, but meet in a halfway point, right? Meet in Compton. Meet at the Forum. Meet at or whatever that is. Meet at SoFi Arena. Go make a date. Go to a game together.
And now just to say, okay, say you are busy and maybe they were casually dating. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't anything because they could be throwing out these numbers and they were casual.
I get that.
Every once in a while we're talking, but nothing serious. And they say 3 years and literally they weren't.
But if I'm in the same city.
I don't understand.
I don't understand that.
I don't know.
All right. So anyway, he sets up a swan paddle boat date. They go do that. That's a lot of work.
That was a lot of work.
It's like,
I got tired watching them pedal. And then I was like, are y'all pedaling backwards?
Because you got to reverse to get out of the dock. Then you got to move forward and you got to stick. That's a little too much work.
This show love, like, I got to make sure I'm talking. Baby, keep moving them feet
right.
while you talking
Stop
to me.
talking. Keep moving them feet.
Keep moving them feet.
We'll talk later. We got work to do.
We got work to get back to the shore. So
because these paddle boats got to be back at 35 minutes. So it's gonna...
and she's one that says, I'm not sure about his height. And so when she met, she's like, whew, he is 6 feet tall.
Right. So the actual height that he gave her is what he's got. So they're both good with each other, right? Mm-hmm. They are talking though, and she says the only challenge right now is that she's like she hadn't seen his serious side yet. Mm-hmm. So for her, she's like, it's all fun and games, but can we move forward?
And it seemed like at some point when they had the dinner after the boat ride, that she's like, oh, okay, he does have a serious side. He's showing me a little romance. So it's starting to even out.
Right. So. And he does say he wants to take it a little more serious, right? For the second episode, they were kind of sub-characters for some of the other things going on. But during Kama Sutra, did you notice how he was like, all right, come here, girl.
And then he's like, okay, hold on.
He's like, my bad, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Can I touch you? Because he was like, listen.
He was like, 3 years? But
You wanted me to take charge. I'm taking charge.
I appreciate he was able to slow it down. He gained his senses back. Woosah. And he put it together. Again, I feel like out of all the couples, and they said it in the second episode, they're the strongest couple right now. They seem to,
other than the two that's already started doing every position in the Kama Sutra.
It was 12 years, Kevin. 12 years.
I'm just saying.
12 years.
Everybody pales in comparison to them as far as chemistry right now.
12 years. So right now, they feel like they're even till. You know, they're really common sense. They're figuring it out.
Right.
They're having conversations about, you know, it being organic when they do take those next steps. He's listening. He's like, you know, before, because he was like, you know, she's giving me caution signs. It's not a red light.
Right.
I'm on yellow. He's like, in the past, I would go ahead straight through the yellow light, you know. But he says, I like the pace we're going.
Yes.
And so right now, they seem to be a very even till couple.
Yes.
Which is good to have in the mix when you got a lot of other stuff going on.
Yeah, right. Speaking of stuff going on, we got Alexis and Dominique. Alexis is 30. Dominique is 31.
Yes.
Dominique is from Chicago, I believe. Alexis, I forgot where she's from.
I forgot.
Okay.
Put that down.
But they have been 6 months committed.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So they have a yoga date, which I think was just his way of trying to get her into various positions.
You may be right on that, because as far
we saw.
From what we saw. Now, first, he looked like he could have had the type of body where he could be a trainer in the gym.
Yes.
So I was like,
because he does say it's what he does as far as stress release. So let me not take that away from him.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to
take
that away. Yeah. But we're like, okay. But anytime you can be in a position where where you've been talking and you want to kind of get closer, he figured it out. Let's put it that way.
He's like, let's see what.
Yeah.
Now, before the date, he's like, the worst that could happen is that her breast sting.
Which I was like, okay, I get it.
That sounds good. She sees him. She's like, okay, yeah, I'm good with that. He's like, meh.
Right. He was like, he says he doesn't like her physique.
He says her body wasn't proportional to what he thought it was, because them social media filters had them waist snatched, and the waist wasn't as snatched as he thought it was going to be snatched.
And this is the thing. I'm like, we're looking at the photos, because while he's talking about this, they're starting to show photos. And I'm thinking to myself, you don't see that's a filter? I'm like, bro, come on now. Now, let's not take something away from her. She still had a small waist.
Right. She's not. I think it was just, and I'm putting this out there just because it seemed a little BBL-ish.
You know, I can only say from a women's perspective is that if it's possible, right? Because we don't know. But a lot of times they're using those
waist trainers.
Waist trainers. And it can tend to make your waist smaller, because it also is like Asian women will bind themselves in the corsets to make their middle section smaller. But
what I'm saying is that it seems as if there may have been other enhancements. And let me and I can't speak for every man, right? I just think that sometimes, and I've watched this even on social media sometimes, there's a common thought that men gravitate towards the enhancements. For me, I prefer the natural. And I think what I kind of picked up from the way he was saying it was, that didn't seem as proportional or as natural as maybe he thought it was going to be.
Right. And it's possible. You know, I know a lot of women have done those procedures feeling like it's an internal beauty.
Right.
They're not really doing it for other people or men, right? And sometimes men may look at it and be attracted to it.
We are visual, right?
Right, we're visuals to it. But when they're trying to say, I want to date someone, I've heard, like you said, I've heard men say that they want more natural women.
Because when I wake up to you and I think that somebody else slipped in the bed, that's a problem.
Again, to each his own.
Yes, to each his own.
We're going to move
All
on.
right, so anyway, we're going to move on. But he does say he could work on that attraction if they're cool, right?
Right, which I thought was thinking, okay, this is a mature guy. He's saying, long as your breath don't stink, I think I can work through this as long as I'm getting to know her. I was like, okay, cool.
Sounds mature.
Yeah,
Yep.
sounds mature.
Now, he says that she is jealous. He says that they are both clingy, right? And we get to see that because
Very soon.
he gets a little irritated when she starts talking to one of the other guys about he raps, what have you, right? And then she starts talking about Greg and his hoochie daddy shorts, right? So he gets irritated. Now, Shay did say that she thinks that Alexis is there just for the party, right? Just to party. But in that, Dominique starts to get irritated because she's spending a lot of time, as far as what we're presented with, right?
Right, what we're presented
As far as
with.
editing, there seems to be spending a little more time talking about Greg and his hoochie daddy shorts. So he gets irritated. They begin to have a conversation about it. Later on, it's like 2:00 in the morning now.
Right. And her irritation is like, why don't you pull me to the side? I feel like you're embarrassing me. And so he doesn't pull her to the side. She doesn't ask him, let's go to the side and talk about it. And my understanding, there are beverages, adult beverages involved as well.
Yep.
So he's trying to explain his point of view in front of a group of people. She's trying to explain her point of view in front of a group of people. And then she goes, I apologize. I see what you're saying. Because he says, what if I said, you know, this fat blah, blah, blah to the young lady, and I just kept saying it over and over again. Would you have, you know, feel a certain kind of way? And she said, yeah, I would feel a certain kind of way if you brought out a woman and her physique in front of me. So from what we understand from him, then when she apologizes, he's like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and go to bed. It's getting late. So he leaves, but the understanding is that he overhears that she like changed her mind. Like, well, I'm really not sorry. Da, 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 da.
Right.
So then he comes back. And that's when
It escalates.
it escalates.
He pushes her. She's in his face, right?
Yes.
They're in each other's face. Let me put it that way.
Yes.
They're in each other's face.
And he started to use his hand,
Right.
like pointing in her face.
Right. He pushes her away. She pushes back. She, at some point, a frying pan is pulled out.
A pot. Yeah.
Spatula, something is pulled out, right?
It was a pot.
It was a pot.
It was a big pot.
People start separating them, what have you, right? And yeah, it was a little intense, right?
Right. We see one of the producers like, okay, when are we supposed to intervene? Because this is getting a little too spicy.
Right. So long story short, production sends him to a hotel for the evening. And so I didn't realize this until then, but I realize now this is the same company that produces like Real World and those type of shows, because that's what they do whenever there's a fight. They'll send somebody to the hotel for the night.
Gotcha.
Now, I don't know if any of the other shows we've seen, like Will Packer or any of those other shows, have ever had an issue like that. But it was like, when I saw the post credits, I was like, that's them.
Gotcha.
So the next day, Taronda comes to talk to her.
Well, and people are talking to her.
Yes.
Like, hey, this is a red flag. No one should put hands on you.
Yes.
You should never be finding yourself in a situation where you have to try to defend yourself.
And that's where Aaron brings up the fact that, one, he was in an abusive relationship where he, as a male, was abused by the woman. But also he's like, look, I got a daughter your age.
Right.
Like, look.
Right. So, and I would never want my daughter to be in that position.
Exactly.
So they're trying to tell her, don't go back into this relationship.
Because if you come from my daughter.
Yeah. We don't want that.
No.
That's not happening.
The world don't want that. All right. So she sees the video from him and he apologizes. He acknowledges too much alcohol. But then after all of that, he destroys his apology by saying he doesn't think it was that deep.
That is no. If you feel like it wasn't that deep and you put your hands on someone,
then why'd you put your hands on him?
You shouldn't have put your hands on him to start with. So he does indicate, which a lot of people nowadays do, I need therapy, I'm going to get better, I need to mature, which is all good things. I hope based off of what he's saying, he does get the therapy he needs.
Yes.
To move on. But she says, no, I'm not interested. And so the host is like, well, good, because you got to leave.
Y'all both got to go. Y'all ain't got to go home.
Okay.
To your separate homes.
Okay.
In 2 different states.
Right.
But you got to get up out of this one.
Because this is a couple show. And so she's like, oh, yeah, you ain't staying for the rest of this party.
Because you ain't flirting with nobody else.
Nope.
You ain't going to be talking about old boy with hoochie daddy shorts on.
No. And so, she's coming back and, and some people who says they didn't want to stay in the room with other women because, women.
It was that diamond, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, but you're crying and saying, you're sad to see her go.
Yeah.
So, again, one person said, and I forgot who it was, he was like, yeah, because this ain't a single show. We ain't trying to meet up singles. This is couples trying to get to know each other.
Yep.
And I think some of the couples like, I'm here to focus on you. I'm not here to counsel other couples. I'm not
help
here
you through your drama as you figure out how y'all gonna live in y'all toxic mess.
Right. It was like, I'm here to focus on the person that I saw online, that I'm talking to online.
Yeah.
So, which they're all realizing that we can, or people can act different online than when
versus
you
in person.
In person.
Yep.
So,
because I can stay in character for 30 minutes or an hour.
Right.
But when we're talking real life,
and then all of a sudden you snatch
my
me,
full character comes out.
Right, because you can't snatch me through the monitor.
No.
Or the phone.
Right. All right. So last couple, we know this is a long one again. If you haven't already, you can finish this last portion on 2x speed or 1.5x speed. Is Brandon and Sienna. So Brandon is 35 from Florida. Sienna is 43 from New York. They have been for 10 months in a long distance, never ever met relationship. So the first date that he sets up for her is a cooking class, and they make some gnocchi and some other things.
Which I thought it was a great class.
Yep.
You get the opportunity to interact.
Yes.
And you get to eat what you created. So I thought it was a great first date.
And she says she has happy feelings with him.
Yeah. So great start, right?
Yep. Great start. So
great.
because we really didn't see them too much day one or episode one. Cool. We're thinking, okay, this might be a couple that might, have some legs to it, right? Then day 2 comes.
It didn't take long, boy.
No. So he has 2 kids, as we found out a little early in episode 2. When it comes to the Kama Sutra exercise, they are the last to go. And rather than most of the other couples, either the man took somewhat the lead and was like, hey, which one are you open to? She was like, we're doing that one.
And everybody was like, oh, so you're in control. You're picking, right?
So they reenact or they do assume the position. And the host is like, so how does that feel? Because the other couples were like, yeah, I feel tingling. Like, yeah,
there's a connection.
There's a rising starting to happen, right?
Right.
He's like, yeah, I feel like I'm about to watch TV.
Like, I'm bored. I'm about to watch TV. And she's just like literally sitting on him sideways. So she's not facing him. Not looking at him. She's looking off into the fields.
Right.
And he's like laying back on his back, looking up to the sky.
Because here's the thing, even with that position, even though one person is on their back, the other person is facing away or facing to the side. Small things like putting her hand on his chest would have indicated that there's a connection there. She was just literally using him as a beanbag almost.
Beanbag. Like
she's just sitting on
a fold-up table.
Like she watching TV here and he's watching TV laying on his back.
And they pretty much presented it that way. And so and that's why everybody was like, y'all not connected. There ain't nothing going on here, And the host is trying to interact with them like, okay, so do you feel any intimacy? No. Well, correct. You're not going to get intimacy based off of what you chose because you didn't do anything with it. And she's like, I chose that position
because it was the easiest one to get into. Because the easy one.
And then the host was like, I was like, oh. And she said, oh, because you don't want to do any work. Intimacy takes work.
I was like, okay.
I was like, okay, we dropping down.
You ain't just a rapper and actor. You got a little wisdom on you. Okay, I'll give you that.
I was like, well, and it does. Mm-hmm. Intimacy does take work.
It does.
And so, they get up and gets back to their chairs.
And then they go play pool, right? After a little later in the episode.
And she wants to talk about his response.
Well, no. She talks about his response, but she also talks about the fact that she's like, you're going to have to move to me.
Yes, because she's in New York and he's in Florida.
And she's like, I'm not leaving New York. I don't see myself in Florida. And he's like, okay. So the producers are like, oh, we got receipts on that.
Okay.
They pull up the receipts where she says she could see herself moving to Florida for the right person and right situation, right?
Right, because again, he has 2 kids in Florida.
Yep.
So if anyone tells me they have children, they want to be in the same state with their kids.
Yes.
They want to be able on a regular basis and make it as easy as possible to get to their children.
Yeah, because it would be it's difficult to have the kids relocate during the summer just to go stay with mama or daddy.
Right.
I wouldn't. And as an adult, I would not want to put someone in the position of having to choose
between you and their kids.
That's not working.
So he's like, okay. He's like, okay, let's talk about this. There's some inconsistencies about your answers, right? Now, could I feel like he could have gone a little deeper? And I was like, and allow me to explain let me give you an example.
I can hear that.
Let me give you an example. You just said that you wouldn't move to Florida when earlier you said you would move. And she said it there. Mm-hmm. Within that 48-hour period, yep. She mentioned again that she would move to Florida.
Yep.
So it's 2 times. Mm-hmm. We got evidence.
Yep.
The backup, what he says.
Yep.
And the first thing she says is she acknowledges that he's not the only one that has said she was inconsistent.
She says he's at least the 3rd person, right?
And then he goes, whoa. Because this is important, right? He's got
Spidey senses are tingling now.
He like, ding, ding, ding. So I'm not making this up, right? And then he goes, okay, so now you understand what he's thinking. She should understand where he's coming from.
Because he asked her, who else has told you that? Mm-hmm. Other men that I've been in a relationship with. Okay.
Okay, then. But she goes, but that hurts my feelings.
Truth hurts.
Okay. Here's where an average person, I would get it, because this is something you have to practice. We've been married 27 years. So we have a lot of times to practice about feelings and validating feelings. Feelings may not be reality, right?
Right.
So I get why he does not acknowledge her feelings, because he's like, I'm talking about something that 2 other people shared with you.
You're the common factor in all of these conversations.
So I'm assuming you're getting where I'm coming from. But instead of that, she makes a comment saying, that hurts my feelings. She says that 2 or 3 times. He's like, he doesn't hear it, right? So it goes from that saying, you should understand what I'm talking about, to now she like forming into another person. She says she gets triggered. And so now she goes overboard,
and calls
defensive.
And calls him a B.
And calls him.
Now listen.
I've never known a man who would like to be called a B. Mm-mm. It's like you done stabbed right in all ego.
Yep.
Yeah. You gone too far. You stepped. Yeah. You jumped. Leaped.
You went from level 5, which is a low level, to level 1, which means that nuclear bombs are on their way. You just went there.
Don't do that.
Right? You did the triple jump in one leap. You jumped there.
How does he get to that point? By making
by agreeing
with the other 2 dudes.
Unknowingly agreeing with 3 other men that you've been in a relationship with.
Right. You've gone too far.
Sounds to me like you need to take some ownership.
Right.
So
she calls him
she
out
calls
his
him
name.
that, right? Then she calls him out on having multiple kids with multiple people.
Well, how can you ain't consistent. Da 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 da. I'm like, whoa, how did we get here? And you know this. He's already shared this with you.
Right.
And
so this isn't new information that is just revealed that all of a sudden the producer is surprised with the fact that, he's got other kids by other women.
And he doesn't. The producer don't have to. They've been in a relationship online where you're sharing. Right. Well, most time you're sharing more stuff because you're online.
Yep.
Because I can't physically see you.
Yep.
So let me go ahead and get all my dirt out.
Right.
Because the only thing I have to do is just turn off the I just can end the call.
Right.
I can end the online.
It's a real easy breakup.
It's a real easy.
We ain't got I ain't got to give you nothing back.
Right.
Ain't nobody packing up and moving out.
Right. So I'm going to share everything. If you don't want to be with me, fine.
So to give some background to his story, from what we understand, he was married. Well, it sounds like they may have had the child and gotten married kind of very quickly.
Right.
At the age of 20.
Right.
By 21 or so, he was divorced.
Yes.
Somewhere along the lines, 10 years later, maybe, he has another child by another woman. Now, all of this, as far as his original marriage and divorce, is 15 years ago.
Correct.
So for her to bring that up and say that that's inconsistency, because here's the other thing. Later on, after they have that initial discussion, she then brings it up again in front of everybody else, right?
Yep.
And I think she did that thinking that she was going to have people on her side. And folks was like, girl, you ain't making no sense.
Right. Which I was like, thank you, right? They're like, hold on. He was 20.
They're like, he done changed 5 times since then.
Exactly. So, girl, what are you talking about?
You've had failed relationships.
Haven't you? They asked her, so have you had failed relationships?
It's like, that's different than marriage. And he's like, look, it doesn't make sense for me to stay in a toxic relationship. Speaking of, don't jump into this toxic relationship. But he said, like, it doesn't make sense for me to have been in a toxic relationship and try to make it work when it was not going to work.
Not going to work.
Be detrimental.
Well, she's like, well, when people get married, they fight and they work it out. Okay. There's some things, yes. Should people who decide to be in a committed relationship try to work it out? I'm going to say yes. But it seems whatever they were doing may at the time, like he said, I did it because I'm from the South. I'm from South Carolina. It was something I just did. So most of the time when you're thinking about people who are getting married, they're in love, right? They're in a committed relationship because they're in love, not because something has forced them to become a committed relationship.
And let's, again, go back to the fact that the way I approached it when I'm 20 is going to be different than how I may approach it at 35.
That is true.
How I approach something when I was 30 is different than how I'm approaching it now at 52.
Because we had to work out a lot of things. If we met each other now, thank God we'd probably be a lot more mature about it. But again, we wouldn't have to work through a lot of things we had to work through in our 20s to get to this point.
Right. So
that backfired on her, like you said.
Yeah, because the other ladies were like, "No, baby girl, no.
Don't do that. Give him and the men were like, give him a chance. He's 35 now. They were like, please look at this as a different way,
right?
You know.
So that ends that portion of the conversation. So then she's on the couch. Greg, who's part of another relationship, he comes over and he talks to her.
Yeah, just trying to
He's like, look, let me give the male perspective. Let me just also maybe help you so that you can hopefully
see a
move
different
forward.
Perspective.
Right? So they're talking. He's not just talking and she's not saying anything. They're engaging. Right?
Yeah.
So Brandon goes upstairs and he and Millie start talking.
Which is Greg's partner.
So it's possible, we don't know this for sure, but it's possible because Greg and Millie seem to be balanced right now too.
Yeah.
Right? It's possible that they may have had a game plan says, look, I'm going to go talk to her, you talk to him, let's see if we can help them get back on track.
Right.
Okay? Because the fact that it's the person from each relationship.
Yeah.
But also that makes this even more so an overreach and overreaction by Sienna, because when she comes upstairs and sees
after she talks to Greg,
she comes upstairs, she sees Brandon talking to Millie, and she's like, "Oh, he in there talking to another woman about our relationship." Lady, you were just having a conversation with a man who is not the person that you are interested in about your relationship.
Right.
You weren't interested in the other man. He's not interested in the other woman.
No, he just want to kind of get off his chest. Like, where is she coming from? And Millie's trying to help you. Like, she got your back, and she's trying to help you to, all the things that you said in the kitchen, which again, he said to you, not to the group, and you done threw his part of his life that he may not even be proud of in front of everybody.
Right.
And now you're finding something else. I said, okay, so she's not looking whatever trauma she has in her life.
Because that's the thing that we haven't talked about. We don't know fully what that may look like yet. But what I see just in her interactions and the way that she comes off, the way that she's handling this, is that toxicity is almost like her love language. Okay? Because the fact that you jump from having a conversation and your feelings being hurt to literally calling him what she called him. Then you bring up the conversation that was a private conversation. You bring up the conversation for everyone from the aspect of, can y'all believe he called me inconsistent?
Right.
To now you've had the conversation with someone else. Again, not a person part of your relationship, but you're having the conversation about your relationship with that person. And now you're getting upset because he's doing the same thing as you. Not only are you inconsistent, but you're hypocritical.
Yeah, and I think at this point, like he was saying, I don't think I could, be with her based on how she's reacting to everything. And granted, a lot of times people don't take in perspective like, okay, in my past relationships, when someone's telling me this, is it true or not? And if he brought it up, I was like, can you give me some examples? Because I was like, I keep hearing this in past relationships, so I need to figure out what this is. But when you're defensive, you go on the defensive, and like she says afterwards, she said, because she said it, she said, I got triggered, I went on the defensive, and you go like beast mode.
Yes.
And you're taking out whatever happened in the past out on this man, and it's unnecessary, especially if he's saying, I want to see where this goes. I'm trying to talk to you, and you're making it difficult to talk to, because she'll keep the pattern up if she doesn't recognize. I hope when she sees, these episodes back, if she's going to watch it, she could see herself like, oh, wow.
I don't know if they're planning on doing a reunion show for this.
They probably would.
But they need to.
Typically.
They need to.
How she's going to respond, we'll see. They got 10 days. Like they said, we got 10 days here, y'all.
So we got a few more episodes.
So we'll see what happens from that. I hope there's some transparency and we start seeing ourselves enough to get to the point where we can apologize and move forward.
I don't believe it.
I don't see a lot of hope.
I don't have a lot of hope for it. I don't believe it.
So we'll see.
All right, well, listen, that's it for this one. Thank you all for sticking all the way through.
I know we had to get through
This was episode 1 and 2, so the next ones won't be as long unless there's a lot that we have to really analyze and break through. But listen, make sure you are doing the things that you need to do so that you're back here each time. And we'll see you all next time.
Yep, we're going to follow it through.
Yep, have a great one. Be blessed.
Bye.